Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the fifth installment of the Ice Super Speedway Chase for the Championship. And for the third year and second in a row under this format, the Ice Super Chase begins tonight at the Virtual World Center of Racing. The Daytona International Speedway plays host to feature race 16, but more importantly, it is race 1 of 2 of the Super 10 round. Tonight, next week, 2 weeks at Daytona. The field will go from 10 chase competitors to 6. However, first, if you want to try to advance, you got to make the main event, because the B main coming up next on LSRTV. Andy, a very crucial factor in trying to get some points.
Yeah, it is, and there's guys, we talked about this, Josh did actually, just as we were closing up the truck race broadcast, that there's some guys that aren't guaranteed a spot in the A-main, so a lot of these guys that find themselves qualified for the chase have some work to do in this B-main, so I don't think you're going to see a lot of sitting around here in this B-main. You're going to see some guys having to get up on the wheel, and the possibility of some of them, possibly getting into an accident and not making the A-main, that's going to put a damper on their chase hopes.
And no quick fixes, too, has been the storyline coming into these last couple of weeks. You're in an accident, you're done tonight. If a chase competitor falls outside of the transferring positions, they can get in via the provisional. But if you have more than one chase guy back there, and depending on your finish last week, you're in a spot where nothing is guaranteed. It looks like right now, as the drivers working through their 5-minute single car qualifying session, that we have about 30 drivers or so getting set to take the green tonight. The magic number at this moment, 22 plus 1. So a P22 finish still going to be good enough to make the main event. One provisional goes on still from after that, but we're looking at 25 laps, which is to the longer side of things when we talk about the length of these B mains and what we've seen this year. So although the extra 3-4 laps not going to be a difference strategy-wise, it'll give these guys a couple more opportunities to make moves, but at the same time, that's more opportunities to make mistakes.
Yeah, that is, and such a quick little race here, 25-lap race, and there's really no time. I mean, you have one little incident, maybe in not that much damage, but it's still going to put you in the back of the pack, and then you really got to turn the jets on and get yourself to the front. So mistakes are going to be huge in this first race. There's really no time to have a mistake and really bounce back. A couple cautions, and you're already looking at half the race already gone. So these guys got to be careful. They got to be smart. They got to be aggressive, especially guys in the chase, but they definitely have to be careful in this B main. They have to make it to the A main if they want a chance at the championship.
It is the first race on the Ice Super Chase, and it is the B main, the final, for the record, feature race that we'll see at Daytona on the season, because each round is split up pretty good. These first 2 races in the Super 10 round, both races are at Daytona. This one, B main, A main format. The next one will be an endurance format. The round of 6 will be 2 races at Talladega. Same song and dance, a B and an A main format, an endurance event, and then the season finale back here in January under the lights is an endurance event. So for the final time this year, we go B main racing from Daytona, and qualifying has drawn to the close, so let's take a look at where they will line up. Tom Ustaka said that he had to put his son's face on the truck. It wasn't there, and he ended up with a third-place finisher earlier in the night. Well, there it is. It's the Babymobile, the 210 Toyota Camry, pole position for the B-Main with a 47-248. He'll lead us to the green flag. Outside to him, the 7 of Rodney Wofford. Stephanie Lessentine slated to start third position for the driver of the number 43 car. Mark Jorgensen Jr.'s number 88 Diet Mountain Dew Chevrolet will start from 4th, and Donnie Giratano is 5th.
Yeah, starting tonight in the 6th spot is that 94 of Frank Busilias. The 7th spot goes to the 89 of Matt Quick. Rod Flagg is going to start 8th. 9th goes to the 71 of Christian Peterson. Jason Altmans will round out the top 10.
Chad Keene will start tonight in 11th position. 12th goes to Greg Hooks. Ben Nile in 13th. It's Brandon Chaburko, your Truck Series winner, in 14th position. And 15th is the 93 of James Pileski.
Rolling off 16th here tonight, the 21 of Glenn Hedrick. Jeff Figlin will start 17th. 18th goes to Alex Hallinar. Ryland Pylan in the 41 will start 19th. 20th is the 23 of Jared Haggerty.
Agnew, the fastest driver as well in practice. Just behind him, the 11 Kelly Dahl will start tonight in 21st position, alongside in 22nd for Revved Evans, Sean Turner in 23rd, 24th for Daniel Ferguson, and the penultimate card, but down to time in qualifying in 25th. That's the 33 Larry Camp. The last driver with that time down, Ryan Keys in P26. And then the drivers on provisionals, 27th for Paul Servant, Tommy Hall 28th, 29th, Dana Osborne, Josh Ball 30th, and Matt Bontempi in 31st. So you have chase drivers P2, you got a chase driver second to last as well as second to first. They are spread well amongst this field of B-main competitors. Top 22, that's what you got to be thinking.
Exactly what you got to be thinking, and there's 31 cars making an attempt, so there's 8 spots right there, 9 spots that these guys cannot have any issues, because those are 9 spots that are not going to get them into the A main here tonight. So a lot of work cut out for these guys. It should be an interesting race. It should be pretty calm also at the beginning of this thing, but I also stress the should be calm, because we know how these guys like to get it done on the super speedways. Lots of side-by-side action, and I expect nothing less here tonight.
And what we've seen this season is that your finish in the B main is no longer where you start in the A main. If you make it, there's another qualifying for the A main. So starting first tonight is no advantage to finishing 22nd tonight, because you're both going to get a fair shot in the A main. Take it easy, get the job done, and maybe that opens up the door for a non-chase competitor to put the elbows up and try to get the job done. We're glad to have you with us, LSRTV on iRacing Live. It's B main action at Daytona. The pace car makes a sharp left turn down and away. Green flag flies. We're underway at the World Center of Racing. Officially, we're going on Super Chase Racing. Down to turn number 1. Topside Rodney Wofford wants to make the first challenge on Tom Moustakis. He'll get clear with a push from the 88 of Jorgensen, and he tucks down.
That he does. A little bit of a gap between Tom Moustakis himself and that 43 of Stephanie Lestine. That's what's going to cause him not to get the lead off of turn number 2 right here. But Jorgensen on that top side, we haven't seen much of him lately in the past few weeks. Has tons of bad luck this season. He did get himself into the chase, but he's got a long road to hoe, and hopefully that bad luck has fallen away from him here. But he's back here on that top side leading the pack. The top side, though, falling back right now. Top 4 now single file heading to the stripe.
The 4-car length advantage across the stripe, 1 down, 24 to go. Tom Moustakis doesn't want to sit around P2. Again, we talked about him in the truck, so he's in the same boat for this, as that is not in the points. He wants a win, and I looked to the outside of the racetrack. They didn't stick with it, but that 88, the 94, the 50 with the first three drivers topside were able to get a push down through the front stretch and close the gap significantly. You see down at a turn number 2 again, those guys, they're pushing on the straightaways. Drivers not allowed to push in the corners nor the tri-oval, so they're really trying to line these cars up off the corner, get a big run with a lot of speed. That's the objective of the outside lane on the racetrack. They don't have a lot of help up there, though. There's 3 drivers leading that. Behind it looks like the 71 of Peterson, the 3 of Chaburko. Other than that, though, there's not a whole lot of support topside. Most drivers ducking down to the inside of the racetrack very early on.
They are just trying to protect that bottom line. Obviously can't go below that yellow line, so that's one of the safest places on the bottom right there, is just holding that line. You know nobody can get to your inside. You just have to worry about that traffic on the outside. Look at Chaburko, though, around that 10th spot there, going 3 wide. He's going to push Peterson to the outside. Nowhere to go now for Peterson is Chaburko. He's going to force his way into that spot.
And these cars, they get tight in the corner, they get tight off the corner as there is wear put down on these tires. So when you get somebody up topside there, gotta be careful with it. Peterson's able to drop back in line behind Chaburko in front of the 55 of Benjamin Niles. So that's going to be about P13, 14. Causes the 55 to check up. They'll get back to the back bumper of that 3 in a moment. And now things are just about even Stevens with the bottom and the top, because the outside's getting momentum. The 51 of Jason Altman's looked like he may have had a small problem in the corner. May have just been a connection issue. I saw a small puff of smoke, and at first thought it may have been an engine. It looks like just a minor connection issue. He's still there, P4. But the outside, all the momentum to turn 3. Not enough, though, to allow Moustakis to get clear. He has to drop back a little bit after he had pulled half a car length.
Yeah, that top side, the trend continues. It seems like as they enter the corners, they really stall out there. Where they make the momentum up is on the exit of the corner, down the straightaways. They can really pick up a ton of speed, as we see right there. As Mustak is able to pull ahead right now, currently heading into turn number 1. But you'll see that top side start to stall out, seeing that it is the longer way around this racetrack, and they'll try to make some momentum back up on that bottom side. Little gap of separation there between the 210 and the 88 of Mark Jorgensen Jr. It's going to allow Wofford now to pull ahead slightly as they enter back into 3.
The outside lane of the racetrack, again, they get all the speed off the corner, but it's the opposite when they go into a corner, because you're talking about 4 or 5 stories of banking. They're climbing up the hill, losing speed. The guys at the bottom kind of dive down and use it to accelerate the slightest bit. But the outside is the conventional passing lane. That's something that Brandon Chiburko likes to do. He was topside. He dropped to the bottom, past the 94 of Frank Basilia on the inside. Jumps up in front of him now, and now that 3 DraftKings Chevy is the 3rd car in line on the outside of the racetrack, behind the 210 of Tom Moustakis and behind the 88 of Jorgensen. And you see those guys in front of him, Andy, they pull down the backstretch, they go to pinch, and then they pull back out. Well, Chiburko, he stays glued on those guys' doors the entire time, not allowing that inside to get any sort of aerodynamic advantage.
Yeah, he's probably the best one that I see week in and week out, because he's the one. Oh, we got another one going through the grass right there. I'll try to get a number for you, but Chiburko's definitely the guy that he's the one that can really make that side draft work, and he's the best at it here, I think, in the series. He does it week in and week out. Not afraid to get right up there on that door of the car inside of him.
Biglin is the one that gets turned. It's the number 38 car. It looked like he tried to come down in line, and Alex Halidar was just there. Figlin gets turned. He hits that big wall there before the pit lane entry. Quite a lick he takes. He spins to the grass. He gets back out on track. Okay, and no caution. Sean Turner as well, involved in an accident earlier in this race, has now just officially retired from this one as his night comes to a close. Now more damage behind Kelly Dawes, number 11, just got pummeled after he checked up for an accident by Larry Camp.
Yeah, there's a lot of beating and banging going on around this speedway right now, and it's typical you see on a short track the way these guys are bumping into each other, but uncharacteristic to see it at a super speedway like this. But for everybody so far, they've been able to hang on to what's happened so far. We stay in green here, working lap number 8, so far so good for all these drivers here, keeping this thing going straight.
Up front, they're minding their P's and Q's. The guys behind them may or may not be losing their minds early. Again, there's chase guys all throughout the field. You gotta watch it where you're running, but at least for the time being, the hierarchy at the front of the field has been established. It's that Rodney Wofford started second, jumped down to cover the inside lane of the racetrack. By the time they got to turn 1, he continues to pace this field. Stephanie Lessentine from 3rd is now second. Behind her, the 26 of Rod Flag, who sits 3rd, and then that 2 of Donnie Giratano trying to get clear for the outside. He's not able to. It is still Tom Moustakis on the outside. It is still the 88. Somehow, 51 of Jason Oltmans has gotten in between the 88 and the 3 of Brandon Chiburko, so now it's the Geek Squad Ford as the 3rd car in line up on the outside of the racetrack. He's running just about next to the 96 machine of Chad Keene, the 89 of Matt Quick. Those drivers are on the bottom of the racetrack, about 6th or 7th in that line.
Yeah, bottom side checking up a little bit there around Rod Flag and Donnie Giratano right there. That's
the 210's he's having connection problems, so Moustakis has got to get up and get out of the way. I think that's what caused the checkup. He now drops off of that outside lane. That not only hurts the outside because they have less cars, they have less momentum, but you talked about that checkup. That was pretty good damage to the back of, I think that's the 89 of Matt Quick in the front of James Pileski after those guys got together.
Yeah, that's not what you want at super speedway. Obviously, aerodynamics comes into a big play here. It shouldn't hurt him too bad as long as he stays tucked up behind somebody. But if he wants to push out maybe on that high side and be a lead pack car, it's going to be tough for him with that damage. It'll probably slow that line, whichever line it is that he's leading, down just a bit. But for now, as long as he's tucked up behind him, he should be all right as that top side trying to gather some momentum through the corner there. As the 3 of Chiburko gets a decent run off the corner here. He's going to get right up on that back deck lid of the 51, who's right there on 88 of Jorgensen, as Pileski makes a bold move. Not sure if he got loose there or what happened there, but he made a bold move right back down in between. the 89 and the 55 of Ben Nile.
And your top side on the stem 6 Ford Fusion is Stephanie Lesentine taking a look from the roof of that driver's number 43 Ford Fusion. Second at the moment. The outside, even with just 3 drivers, continues to try to inch forward and forward. Next time by, we'll be starting to work the halfway point in this race already at lap number 12 of 25 in the B main. 22nd at the moment goes to Matt Bontempi. First driver out of the cut line, defending series champion, the 48 Lowe Chevy of Josh Ball in 23rd. That's the picture at the cut line, which is 5+ seconds away from what you're seeing up front, which is now 3 wide, as Chaburko for a moment sticks a nose topside to get some air to it.
Yeah, let's keep that engine cool here for the late race push as they work their way off of turn number 4. He's going to look to go 3 wide now into the middle, push Altman's way up to the high side. Altman's able to get enough room to come back down in front of Chaburko. That's going to slow the momentum, though, on that high side. Top 2 able to break away. It's Rod Flagg for that 3rd position next to the 88 of Jorgensen. So the top 2, Wofford, doing what he does. I mean, this guy, he's not only, this guy knows how to get it done on the plate tracks. We got 88s in the wall off of turn number 2. Looks like he got tight, got up into the wall right there. Tough break for the 88.
And we talked about these cars getting tight. We also talked about a side draft. I think it might have been a small net code with the 26 of Rod Flagg. Jorgensen, who was leading the outside charge, gets stuck in the fence, and with no quick fixes, that damage is going to drop him all the way down outside of the top running spots. And that number 88 machine, he's going to be coming down to the pit lane, I may think. The 98 car we're also hearing may be in the outside fence as well. That's Greg Hooks back in 19th position. But for Jorgensen, who got damaged, he does bring that car now down to the pit lane, and that takes him out of contention for this race. The immediate consequence that I can think of that for Jorgensen is that, assuming nothing did happen to back by that transfer spot now, Andy, that moves Josh Ball up from 23rd to 22nd. It puts him in at this moment.
Yeah, it does, but we also got to remember Josh Ball, talked about earlier, he's got the past champions provisional, so he'll be in the race no matter what. He did say that the first half of the race he's going to spend at the back and then maybe try to push his way to the front and go for the win, but in order to get that provisional, he had to survive half the race. Well, he's done that now, so look for that 48 machine to try to make a move to get back up to the front and try to go for this win.
The drivers have been rather disciplined. It's been quite a wild race, actually. Not any big wrecks, but a couple of guys got turned out of line. We've seen a couple of people end up at events. This time by, we'll be left with just 10 laps to go to set the field for the first A main of the iSuper Chase on Season 5 of the iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series. And 4 is the magic number. 4 on the bottom, staying clear. Altman's, who looked like it was Chaburko trying to get around him, now leads the outside charge. But with just 2 drivers up there, they're still there. I mean, they're not dropping back as much as maybe I would have expected them to, Andy, but I don't think 2 cars would be enough to push clear of the bottom. I think they might need some more help if they want to be able to get over that bump, because you're getting side draft on these guys. That's cool. But when you get next to the leader, you need a little bit extra oomph than they got on the inside to clear them. I don't think you're able to do that with 2 cars, but it is Brandon Chaburko pushing you. If somebody knows how to do something that you don't think is possible, I think that 3 car would be the one to show us.
Yeah, just look at him right now coming off turn 4, how close he is to the door of Donnie Giarratano, and that's just that side draft, I think, alone is what's able to keep these 2 guys as close as they are towards the lead cars right now, as Altman's real close to Rod Flagg through the trioval right there. But I think that's the only thing keeping these guys up near the front right now is that side draft that they're getting through the corners right now, and so far it's working right now to keep them up there as they get a real good run off of turn 2 now. Now they're going to push their way up to that 2nd spot there. Stephanie Lesentine doing a heck of a job here tonight, just staying glued to Wofford's bumper, and that's not a bad place to be when you talk about a super speedway guy, because he leads all time in wins here at this track, and of course has, in this series, and of course has 3 wins on the season. So Wofford, not a bad guy to follow here in the race.
And he won 3 in a row here at Daytona last season, so he knows a thing or two about this track. We talked with Josh at the end of our Truck Series broadcast, and he said that he was looking forward to the Talladega round if we can get to the Super 6 or the Superior 6 rather for that matter, because he liked Talladega a little bit better. Well, you think Daytona and Talladega, they're not all that different, but Rodney Wofford's statistics would tell you that he likes Daytona a lot more than Talladega. He leads right now. There was an interesting comment earlier in this race. These drivers working through the practice session, and I can't quite remember the driver that was talking about it. It may have been Sean Turner, who was wrecked out of this race now in 31st. He said that if you want to win this race, you got to get the pole because it is extremely difficult to pass based on the package that these cars are running and the weather settings. Well, Wofford did not start on the pole, but he led it since turn 1.
Yeah, he's done a great job coming from that second spot on the outside. He just flat out got a great start and had somebody out right on his bumper. Jorgensen Jr. was right on his bumper on the restart. That's what got it done. But look at these two guys on the top side. Just doing a fantastic job. They're not battling for the lead with just 2 cars on that outside line. Doing an amazing job with the side draft. They're just getting it done. It's just unbelievable right now that the 2 of them are able to get this done here. And maybe they have a chance to battle for the lead as they now get a good run off turn 4 and coming to the stripe. It's going to be Altman's that's going to get that second spot here on this lap. So those guys are making some progress here as now 4 cars looking to actually start to break away a little bit as Rod Flagg has now slipped up and lost a little bit of that draft now and almost making a 4-car battle only for the lead.
Donnie Giratano, James Pulaski, and the San Bernardino Christian Peterson passed the 89 of Matt Quick. Quick got in a little bit hot to turn 3. I think he may have just nicked Giratano in the back end. 89 car got tight. He found himself topside. The topside may work with just 2 cars, not going to work with 1. So now he's trying to hang on, but you see in front of him, the 55 car gets tightened up in front of him. That's contact. Ben Nile tight off the corner. Matt Quick's into the fence. Jared Haggerty ducked to the bottom. So does the 83 Ramon Evans and the 41 Orion Pyland. So 2 more drivers brushed the wall that time.
Yeah, a couple of them back in the pack. There's 3 wide in turn number 1 here. Peterson now in the middle. Then he contact with Stephanie Lessentine. The 43 gets contact into the wall. I think these cars are running on a real tight condition right now. As you see Haggerty make his way around Peterson. That's going to move him up into that 7th spot currently. So Haggerty making a late race charge here, trying to get up to the front now. As we got a pretty good battle for the lead still shaping up. The 51 of Jason Altmans was able to get ahead of Rodney Wofford. So that's going to leave Chaburko on the outside by himself for the time being right now, as he's the only one on that top side as they hit the stripe.
And Lessentine was on the outside. And again, we said we knew these cars would get tight, and they're showing it now, which is not something conventionally spoken about at these restrictor plate tracks. Rod Flagg made a great move to get to the bottom on her 43. That's why she was up there and had bad luck in the trucks, and now bad luck continues tonight. Can't buy anything at the moment for the driver of the 43. It's still going on hot and heavy up front to the outside of the racetrack. Jason Altmans was leading on the bottom. He comes up to protect the outside, drops back down, and now it's Brandon Chaburko with no help on the outside of the racetrack. Can he find a spot in line? Can he find help? Or is he going to go backwards? He's in the wall.
Yeah, tough break right there. Gets to the wall. 3 wide now. Pulaski.
Not enough room. Pulaski got tapped, I think, by Rod Flagg in the left turn. No, Chaburko gets tagged. They hang on still.
Unbelievable racing by these guys right now in the closing laps of this one. 3 laps to go in this, and we got cars hitting the walls. We got all kinds of things going on right now. We still got a great battle for the lead. As now Rod Flagg looks to the inside of Wofford going down the super stretch. What a great run right now, and he's all over the back bumper of 51 of Jason Altmans right now. Here comes Peterson now into the mix. He was involved with Stephanie Lessentine a couple laps ago. Now he finds himself in the top 5 with an opportunity to win this thing off turn 4.
And I always like to use the analogy at 2 laps to go that these guys, it's like they're driving on black ice, but it's the opposite. The cars just won't turn. They're so tight. That move Rod Flagg made to the inside on Wofford, the exact same he had made a couple of laps earlier on Stephanie Lessentine. So he knows how to make the spots. A little bit tight in one he's got to check up. There's a big gap right now between Jason Altmans and Rod Flagg. If those guys on the outside can get hooked up, they're going to get around him. I don't think they got to each other in time.
Yeah, now they do get...
Oh, spinning! Donnie Giratano, the 2, the Wrangler Chevrolet. Spinning down at a corner number 2. He caught the fence, got turned by Matt Quick. He's on the apron. No caution. We're still green. He'll take the white flag this time by an advantage to the outside of the racetrack. It's the 7 to Wofford. He's got help from Peterson. Bottom side, it's Jason Oatmans with help from Rod Flag.
Final time into turn number 1. Wofford's going to be able to slightly pull ahead, and not going to be enough to drop down in front of Altmans. Altman's going to continue to hold that bottom side right now. He's got no help behind him as there's a huge gap between him and Rod Flag. That's not going to help. Here comes the 71 of Peterson. Look at him make it 3 wide. They make contact.
Oh, he's going to take him out. Oh, it hits the 7 to Wofford. Wofford's into the fence. It's Jason Oatmans who gets turned around, and somehow the driver that ends up in front, it's Christian Peterson. Turn number 4. Rod Flag comes to challenge. He'll come up short, and it is Christian Peterson, your winner in the B main at Daytona. And for the record, the race is under review. And we always say, Andy, just make it to the end, boys. Just get the checkered flag. You're good. That 51 of Jason Oatmans, he gets baited into going to the outside of the racetrack. Christian Peterson goes to the bottom. The 51 comes to block, but Peterson's there. So there's nothing else that Peterson can do. And the 51 comes down on Christian Peterson. It sends the 51 up the hill. I feel terrible that Rodney Wofford gets taken out in that, but I don't see any way you can take that away from Christian Peterson because he made the move to the bottom, and the block just came too late. He had the spot.
Yeah, exactly. If anything, he was definitely forced to the underneath that yellow line. So obviously it's going to go under review because he was under the yellow line, but I'm sure race control will see it probably the way we see it right there, is that he just had nowhere to go, and he was forced underneath there, and that is what it is. And obviously he's got to come back up the track a little bit here to make it for the corner, because there's no way he's going to make that corner on the apron. So it's a tough call. It's a tough break. Obviously racing hard for the win there, so I don't really blame the 51 for trying to force him down there either. But when you start doing that, though, you're going to end up putting yourself in trouble, and that's exactly what we saw for Altmans.
It was an exciting end to a B main, which is not the first time we've been able to say that this season, and I don't imagine it to be the last. Christian Peterson burns it down. All it is a ticket into the A main, but he'll be there, the winner in the Daytona B main. A main action, though, for feature race 14 coming up. We'll take a moment, we'll step away, and we'll come back when the drivers get back out on track for a warm-up, because the A main's still to come. And when we do return, we'll break down what the championship picture is with the LSRTV pre-race show at Daytona. Stepping away for a moment, we'll be back in just a few. You're watching LSRTV's coverage of the iSuperspeedway.com racing series iSuper Chase tonight on LSRTV at iRacing Live. We'll see you back here in a minute.
But here comes Gregor Hutu into Canada corner for the final time. Just 2 corners left to go before he finally makes himself a triumphant return back to victory lane. He has led 38 laps of this event here today, and Gregor Hutu once again is a winner. Gregor Hutu will work himself through the Cobra Parabolica. He will claim his 46th victory in iRacing.com World Championship competition. Gregor Hutu, for the 2nd race in a row, reigns supreme.
The one thing that I think is the most important is we've been racing this Ground Championship Series for quite some time now, a very long time even at that, and he is the only driver to have ever won a professional road race at Watkins Glen.
But there is nothing that could crack that finish number 1 Team Redline driver. Gregor Hutu worked himself out the final corner, and just as he did in 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, in 2015, Hutu once again wins at Watkins Glen.
Hutu will come across the line and takes the win for round 7 here at Virginia International Raceway.
Here he comes now, just 3 corners left to go, into Brooklands for the final time, into Luffield for the final time. Never ever say that Gregor Hutu is beaten, because he just comes back bigger, he comes back stronger. He wins round number 9 of the World Championship Series, 49th win of his career. If you're the world's greatest racing driver, you can do it with your statements on the road courses. Do it when it matters. Out of the final corner for the final time, number 50 for Gregor Hutu, out of the final corner. At the top of the broadcast, we said if Hutu could win here today, he could well cement himself as the championship favourite. Gregor Hutu, the number 1 machine, back to victory lane, win number 51. Hutu is inching closer rapidly to his 5th, and yes, I say that correctly, his 5th World Championship. Out of the bus stop chicane comes the number 1 Team Redline driver. Gregor Hutu will win here at Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Yes, you may be behind a computer with a steering wheel and a set of pedals, but for these drivers, this is as close as they may ever get to racing in real life. It will be Gregor Hutu coming past the line. He is a 5-time world champion. Gregor Hutu wins the championship one more time. He is the greatest driver in the history of open wheel racing here at iRacing.com, and dare I say it, he is the greatest open wheel champion in the history of sim racing.
We're live at Daytona, and now finally we get set to fight for a championship. Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome back to the virtual Daytona International Speedway. B-Main out of the way. We take a look at the championship standings as of now. It's time to go at it. 10 drivers, Rodney Wofford and Seth the Merchant with 15 bonus points for 3 wins. Josh Ball, Brandon Chaburko, Shade McEachin, Christian Peterson, Jason Altmans, and Frank Basilia with 5 bonus points for a win on the year. Josh Hanner, Chris Bassini in on points, and 50 laps at Daytona. Andy Kessler to possibly punch one of their tickets already into the round of 6 because it's time to go iSuper Chase Racing.
Yeah, that it is. This is when all the excitement ramps up for the season. You did all that work. You got those wins early in the season. For guys like Josh Hanner and Bassini, they did it. Had to do it every single race and raced in their way in on points. So it's all down to now. You know, these guys cannot have mistakes. They cannot have mistakes on pit roads. They can't have mistakes on the track. One mistake, and they're going to have problems trying to get their way back in.
We're set to get underway, so with that, we go trackside for our opening ceremonies and to Jaden Berkey for the performance of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
A big thanks to Jaden Berkey for the performance of our national anthem. Cars on track for qualifying. It's time to get at it. 1 lap, Andy Kessler. That's all these drivers get. And it's going to be to set the grid for the final feature race on the year. We'll see at Daytona. We got 50 laps on tap for these guys. More importantly, though, it is the first race of points in the iSuper Chase. We talk about the way this works. There's 10 drivers now. After 2 races, that'll be cut down to 6. Give us 2 more. We'll cut it down to just 3 drivers remaining. And then we'll fight for a championship back here in the month of January. Ronnie Wofford set the Merchant those wins with 3 total on the season. It's an advantage, but I mean, it's not. It's Daytona and Talladega. 10 points, not comfortable.
No, not at all. I mean, like you said, it's nice. It's something. A mistake in a top 15 finish doesn't put you out of it. So that's one thing those guys got for them. But overall, that's nothing. Nothing to write home about here at a place like this. You could lose 10 points in a matter of about half a turn. So it could happen rather quickly. The good thing for those two, you probably got the 2 best drivers so far this season right there, obviously, with the 3 wins. Set the Merchant as of recently with 3 wins in a row over the last 3 races. And then, of course, Rodney Wofford, who's always tough at these play tracks, the all-time wins leader here at the iSuper Speedway Series. So you got 2 tough guys up there that you got to beat, but you also got some past champions just below those guys. This should be a great battle here in the coming weeks.
We look forward to this championship for sure. This is the elimination style championship that you see in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Now our 2nd year running under this chase format. We had a Season 3 championship be determined by the old chase format, we'll call it, which is settle these guys down for 5 races and they'll points over those 5 will determine the winner. Last season it was Josh Ball that got the job done. Those drivers that competed in that championship kind of know what they're going to have to deal with here. But I don't really think the mentality changes all that much because you win and you're in. That's what we've been saying all season long, and that's what we'll say tonight. You win this race, next week you don't have to worry about anything. Not that these guys have been laying off, and I think a good example of that is when you talk about Seth the Merchant. Got his first win to lock himself into the chase as of 3 weeks ago, and he goes into those next 2 races, wins the next 2, wins 3 in a row total. That could be either because he had the win and he was a little bit more aggressive, or because he was confident. It's going to be interesting because those guys that won in the first 3-4 weeks of the year, they've had a lot of fun on Fridays. Tonight, the pressure is going to be on him, and I know that they've been in this same scenario, but even as a seasoned veteran, this never gets old to you because you're always going to be up on your seat. We saw accidents last week where there were actually guys being, too conservative, not making a move that they normally would, and then they get in an accident. So I'm almost interested to see that how much that mental side of things will play into this. I do feel, though, once they pop those helmets down and we roll from the grid, I think it's going to be business as usual. But it's difficult to think of if you get a late race caution and you're driving around at 50 miles an hour for 3-4 laps coming up to a late race restart. There's no way you're not thinking about it.
No, you're trying to map it all out in your head. What's going to happen? Where am I going to go if this happens? What do I do if this happens? I mean, it's honestly, they'd probably rather be up to speed where you're really concentrating on the now instead of trying to predict the future. So a late race caution could have a lot of guys maybe overthinking their strategy or overthinking what they want to do over the closing lap. So, if this thing, we get a late run, long green flag run late in the race, I think for most of these guys, they'd probably rather that than over having to stress over a restart. So it's going to be tough to say, but when you talk about confidence coming into this, you definitely have to say that confidence is on Seth the Merchant. Those 3 wins all came from starting in the back of the field. So obviously he had confidence in himself and his teammate Christian Peterson, who was pushing him up to the front, all 3 of those wins. So when it comes to confidence, I got to say that the confidence has got to be in Seth the Merchant's corner.
We have seen 4 champions in 4 seasons of the iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series. Frank Busilia, our inaugural champion in Season 1 by 13 points over Brandon Chiburko. Chiburko from bridesmaid to champion in Season 2 by 8 points over Rod Flag. And Rod Flag from bridesmaid to champion in Season 3 by 19 points over Greg Hooks. Josh Ball won the most recent championship in Season 4 by 28 over Rodney Wofford. 3 of those drivers have the opportunity to become a multi-time champion. Outside of those 3, there are 7 other drivers that want to get there first. It all begins now. Qualifying is over, so let's take a look at our LSRTV starting grid for feature race 10. It's chase race 1 of 5, and it's race 1 of 2 in the round of 10. And a good step towards trying to go 4 in a row is starting up front. With a 47-242, it is Seth the Merchant on pole position for this one. Christian Peterson, another name that you just mentioned, his teammate, he's starting in second. Rodney Wofford will start this race from third. Rod Flag is going to be fourth, and Stephanie Lessentine qualifies fifth.
Frank Busilia is going to roll off in that 6th spot. 7th goes to the 210 to Tom Moustakis. Derek Walker is going to start 8th tonight, and 9th will be Ray Rittenauer the 2nd. Chris Passini, the rookie, and I know I'm going to get something for that. He's going to roll off 10th here tonight.
And just behind him, you got the 96 of Chad Keene in 11th. 12th position, the 20 of Matt Bontempi. Donnie Garitano is 13th. 14th is Matt Quick, and Josh Hanner is 15th.
16th is the 12 of Corey Henry. James Pileski in the 93 will start 17th. 18th goes to Brandon Chiburko. 19th is the past season champion Josh Ball. Alex Hallinar will round out 20.
Glenn Hendricks, number 21 Chevy, is back in 21st. 22nd is Shade McEachin. Mitchell Reeves, 23rd. 24th is Rod Minton, and Jared Haggerty in 25th.
26th goes to Ryan Pyland. Ramon Evans will start 27th. 28th goes to Ben Nile. Last car to take time in the qualifying session, Paul Servant. Tommy Hall, Dana Osborne, Jason Altmans, and Kent Connolly will round out the field of 33.
And that field rolls into turns 1 and 2. It is only 5 races. That's short enough. You only have 2 races to be better than 4 of your competitors, Andy Kessel. We're about a minute away from getting the iSuper Chase underway. And with that on the spot, who is our Season 5 champion going to be? My pick, I'm going to have to go with Seth the Merchant based on how good he's been. Anything can happen. I want you to call it out now. Who's got it?
I really don't want to do this, honestly, but you
Go,
know what, honestly,
you got to do it.
I'm going to do it, and I really have confidence in this guy to get it done. He hasn't been a champion yet, but he leads all time in wins. I really think that 7 is his time to shine. I'm going for Wofford in this one.
So the favorites will be our picks. We're not going that far out of the box. DeMerchant first, and Wofford starts this one in third. There are 8 other names, though, on that championship grid, including none of our picks. 3 series champions are amongst the 10 drivers. It's been a long way to get to this point. There's been 13 feature race winners. Feature race 14 about to get underway, and a battle for a championship begins here tonight at Daytona. We're so glad to have you with us on LSRTV. Evan Pasoko alongside Andy Kessler. We're ready to rock and roll. The pace car going to make the sharp left-hand turn down and out of the way. And for the third time, the iSuper Chase is underway. Green flag at Daytona. We race to turn number 1 as the iSuper Speedway Season 5 Championship now hangs in the balance. It's Seth the Merchant, the first driver to get there.
Yeah, he is the first driver to get there. Top side, though, is going to be side-by-side for that second spot. That's Rodney Wofford. He's going to try to make that a battle for third as he now pushes himself up into that second spot all alone with Seth the Merchant as they battle side-by-side for that third spot. Frank Busilia and that McDonald's machine on the bottom side. They're trying to make that bottom line work real good here in the early going. It looks like they might have 3 cars now clear as now Stephanie Lessentine just sits side-by-side with Peterson.
And at 94, if Frank Busilia gets up to that number 3 spot, if he wins, it means of having a McFlurry for dinner. He's got that 43 behind him, as you mentioned. Frank looking to become a multi-time champion in this series. The top 4, just like we saw in the B main, single file across the start-finish line. Top side for Christian Peterson in 5th, the first driver on the outside of the racetrack. You would have expected he and Seth the Merchant to try to orchestrate something, get together there, and he didn't quite work out. And Seth's not going to give up the race lead to go way back there and help him. So that 71 of Peterson will have to fight for himself. He'll get some help because Tom Moustakis jumps to the outside of the racetrack. But if those guys get back together, they might orchestrate something when they get there. But at this point, that 71, he has to get back up to the 42 car if he wants to work with him, because there is just too much on the line to give up the race lead, especially considering how strong being in that lead spot was all the way through that B main until the turn number 3, I think it was, the accident for Rodney Wofford, who probably should have won that race. He was caught up in an accident as well. He's riding second at the moment, so he's shown speed tonight.
Yeah, that he has. Daytona, one of his favorite tracks, according to the stat page, and why not see Rodney Wofford up there in the front. Moustakis, though, on that outside line, way up to the wall there, trying to get a little bit of space in between himself and that bottom line right now. Christian Peterson right on his back bumper. So is Rod Flagg right there in that mix. 5 cars strong on the outside lane. Not quite enough right now to challenge for the lead, but they are making some progress as they exit turn 4.
And they go way high. Again, we talked about these cars getting tight. They did so after about 12 laps in the B main. Well, you got 50 laps at a pit stop, assuming we go green for a majority of this A main, keeping the car under control, keeping her underneath it. Going to be a big step towards this one as that outside continues to inch forward. The top, I'll say 28 cars are in this lead draft that goes to about 2 seconds back, all the way to Ben Nile out there. Everybody on the inside, the outliers are on the outside of the racetrack. We talk about that lead group topside. The 210 of Tom Moustakis leads them, followed by the 71 of Christian Peterson, the 26 of Rod Flagg, the 07 of Derek Walker, and the 1 of Chris Bassini of the 5 drivers topside.
Yeah, that's not a bad crowd to be on the top side. Moustakis, as we're on the roof cam right now of that 210 of Tom Moustakis, trying to lead that outside line up to the front. They're losing a spot or two here over the last couple of laps. They're not losing a lot of ground. It just seems that as they get on the straightaways where they should be pushing each other, they're kind of getting spread out and kind of picking different lanes. So not sure if the cars are just that way because of tightness, but that's what's overall starting to slow these guys down on that high side. They're maintaining around that 5th spot right there, but they're just not making up any ground on the leader.
They're there, but they can't challenge at this moment. 5 laps will be in the books. We'll be at a 10th of the way through this A main race, and still clean and green at the front of the field. Seth Merchant and Rodney Wofford have that push. You look at that one of Chris Bassini. He's running on the outside lane of the racetrack. He was the 5th out of 5 cars in that outside draft. It looks like he's got some company coming up behind him with the 12 car of Corey Henry joining. Chris Bassini and Joshua Hanner at this point are the only drivers below the cut line, because they're right now 9th and 10th out of these drivers. Everybody in front of them, you have Wofford and DeMerchant, 15 points ahead of you already. DeMerchant, Ball, from there on out, you have Josh Ball, Frank Basilia, Brandon Chaburko, Shane McKeechin, and even Christian Peterson and Jason Altmans. That's more than 6 drivers, but because they're all tied, you are the only 2 that are behind the cut line, Andy. We mentioned that 5 and 15 points is not comfortable. It's not comfortable for those guys that are holding the lead, but it is really not comfortable for the guys that don't have that lead, because they feel the pressure to perform.
Yeah, the pressure to perform, but the guys with the points lead, the 15 more points than they have are the ones that are leading the race. So that's even more pressure for these guys to try to stay up towards the front. I mean, if you're going to lose points to an already deficit that you're facing, you might as well be as minimal as possible. So this is definitely not what they want to see, is these guys up front and staying up front. If there's an issue, they need it to be those guys so that they get sent towards the back of the pack. So for now, I think Bassini's pretty content on where he runs right now. He's there in the lead pack. To finish these races, you have to be, to win them, you got to be in contention for them. So the whole point of this first half of this race up until the pit stops is to keep the nose clean and just, be in contention and be up there around that top 10 area. And that's exactly what that one car is doing right now.
And although they are side by side for about 6 or 7 rows with those 7 cars on the outside of the racetrack, things have been rather calm. 3 wide, though, once Chaburko comes into the mix. The 3-car topside started this race back at 18th position. He'll jump back down the line behind one of Chris Bassini. Went up there, nobody went with him. He dropped back down the line. So I said things were calm. Now that Chaburko's here, somebody might have to go with him or things are going to get excited. He goes 3 wide again. He does that because it's very easy for him to go 3 wide. There's plenty of room. If you look at the cars right now, tons of space. But because they're doing 207 miles an hour into the turn, Andy, that width of the racetrack becomes very tight, especially at this track over Talladega.
Yeah, it does. And, if anyone's going to go 3 wide and push the issue, why not the 3-car, right? He's doing a great job with it right now by himself, able to maintain his spot. And again, it's the side draft that keeps him up there right now. It looks like he's going to be able to fall back in line right here behind the one of Chris Bassini, try another run at it there. But he passed 12 of Corey Henry all by himself on that outside lane. Just for some reason, he just knows the draft. He knows it really well. Obviously a veteran of the series. He's run tons and tons of laps at these plate tracks. So he knows how to get it done. You see him with the run right there, looking again on the outside. It's unbelievable what he can do with that car. Put it in places you probably won't see anybody else do it, but he knows how to get that done. But up front right now, we got a battle. Those top side is finally caught up to the leaders. Frank Basilia jumps to the outside in front of Moustakis. Now he wants to push. They want to try to get up there and contend for this lead.
Yeah, the 94 comes up. That's going to help up the outside, but it drops the inside back a little bit. 42-7. They slide back to Stephanie Lessentine for the first time tonight. A driver on the outside completes a lap inside the top 3. It is set Brandon Chaburko still back there, still making things 3 wide, but the 94 of Frank Basilia second at the start-finish line at the moment, still trailed by Tom Moustakis, who had led that outside charge for majority of the race. Now, can you get to these guys? Again, with the draft package on these cars and a much larger field in this A main than what we saw in the B main by about a handful of drivers, maybe 5, 6, or 7 or so total. It does change the way the draft works back in the pack.
Roberto's in the wall in turn number 3. He made some contact while he was 3 wide. Not sure who he made contact with, but got in the wall, had a lot of damage to that right side of that car. We stay green, though.
He was 3 wide, and it was the 20 car that he got into contact with. That's Matt Bontempi. No caution, we stay green, and Brandon Chaburko's the series champion. He's fighting for a championship there, Andy. He made it 3 wide. I don't think you can get mad at anybody else. It's 3 wide on lap 10.
Oh, exactly. But you know what? That's his style. You know, he's going to push it. He's going to go for it. We've seen it all season long. It's checkers and records for that guy. You got to love the tenacity and the intenseness that he likes to run these races as. We're 3 wide for the lead, just ahead. Look at Wofford now go to the inside. It looked like he was trying to split the inside or right through the middle of Frank Busilia. Frank Busilia was able to drop down back in line, so he wasn't left out by himself. But now Wofford wants a piece of this lead off turn number 2. He's got a veteran of Busilia giving him a push right now as the bottom side tries to get back together. Here comes Seth the Merchant with Stephanie Leslie in tow.
And Lessentine's job right now is to push. When the outside is not there, you back off that car, you get clean air. When a challenge comes, you push. I'm surprised that everybody always goes to the outside of the racetrack. I know the 94 is getting out of the way, Andy, because obviously Frank doesn't want to get run over. But that 7 car jumped up as soon as he had the opportunity to topside. The 94 shot out 3 wide. If he jumps out 3 wide, he's going backwards. So he's lucky he was able to get back down the line. Just a risky move there in the 7. A large part in making that 94 jump out of the way, because we know Wofford likes this racetrack and he's going to do everything he can to win it. So it's a drag race down the Daytona super stretch to Merchant with the push from Lessentine and topside of Wofford with a push from Busilia down to turn 3. The inside still impenetrable.
Yeah, they are. And Seth the Merchant been looking real strong as long as he's been out front all night long here tonight. The outside, though, still trying to make something happen. If anyone can, it's that 7 or the 3. Fortunately, the 3 is down on pit road right now currently. But as we go split screen right now, on board with Stephanie Lessentine, as you see her giving the good push right there to Seth the Merchant, keeping him out front in front of these guys. Doing a great job of when to get up on that back bumper, when to push, and when not to, and not to force any too much heat into that engine, so that she has some issues. As now they all start to accordion in together right there. Some big shots right there by the top 3 on that bottom side, as they still try to keep walking. Oh, and the Frank Busilia is in the wall in turn 3.
The car's getting tight, and Tom Moustakis on the bumper after Busilia caught the wall. The slightest of contact, and Tom Moustakis was able to check it up. Behind them, though, these guys going to get on the brakes, and there's contact behind. No caution yet. We stay green. Donnie Giratano's going to get junked in that one. The 28 car hard into the inside wall. That is the entry of Shane McEachin, who is one of your championship drivers. He is as well involved, but a 2-car accident ruined Shane McEachin's night. That is a big hit for the chase competitor.
Now the replay up on the screen right there, just making contact off turn number 4. A product of the long run and the tight conditions that these tires make after the long run like that. And only 2 cars down to the apron there, out of the racing groove, and we stay green here, still green. And 16 laps into this thing, and what a great race we have. And hey, check out who's made it up there, Evan, into the top 5 right now. That 48 machine of Josh Ball, all the way from that 19th spot. What a move for him in this first part of this race.
He moves up, but he's been doing that all under green. Now the 7 of Rodney Wofford in the outside wall. Your championship leader into tonight has problems. After lap 12, the cars start to get tight. First Busilia, now the 7 car of Rodney Wofford. He'll get the bird poop on the roof of that race car to signify that he got hit on the right side. It's all scratched up a little bit. He gets those mysterious scratches on the roof, which is what I'm referring to, is that a little bit of damage. Still in the draft, though, he will lose significant time. No caution for that wreck at turn 4 because, A, those cars wrecked below the racing line, below the yellow line, so it was not automatically triggered by the sim, and as well because it was not a 3 or more car accident. We stay green. But for Shane McEachin, a win on the year in the iSuper Chase, this is going to hurt their chances and basically put them in a win-or-go-home situation next week.
Yeah, him and Chaburka were in that position currently as this race runs right now, and top 7, single file, first battle for that side-by-side is Christian Peterson there on the outside of Rod Flagg. He's got a little bit of help right there from the 7. Just can't quite get to his bumper. He's going to drop down on that bottom side. So all the way back to 9th place right now is all single file.
And maybe these guys got a little bit out of shape there and said, okay, we just saw two of our chase competitors get into some problems. That's half of the elimination, is you're looking at beating 4 cars. 2 of them had problems. Take it easy. You know the car's bad. You're going to be coming down to the pit lane to get service. The car is not going to drive like this all the way to the end. Depending on when you pit, the car may be better off than what it is now based on what interval these guys want to make it. I think that was a very quick wake-up call for a lot of these drivers to chill out for a little bit. Lap 19 will go into the books this time. Still shy of the halfway point, but noticeably calmer after they saw what can happen very quickly, because all of that, with Cheburko's problems, as well as the problems for Shane McEachin, that happened in about 2 to 3 laps.
Yeah, it's a tough thing right there. I'm watching a couple of these guys here, and I think, you know what, Evan, as we were just talking about, I think these guys see or realize how tight these cars are getting, and I think that's why you're seeing this whole big front pack here all single file right now. They know pit stops are coming. We're approaching that halfway point. I just think a lot of these guys are now, like you said, seeing a couple of these guys that are in the chase having some issues. They don't want that to happen to them. I think they're just trying to, hang on to this thing right now. While the handling isn't the best, see what they can get, make their way, make it to the pit stop before they go to push this thing towards the end. So we'll see what happens in the next 10 laps or so when we start seeing some of these guys start peel off for pit road to get their fresh tires.
A little bit of 2 wide going on around P10. Top side, the 71 of Christian Peterson, the 210 of Tom Moustakis, and behind the 92 of Rod Mitten. I think I see Derek Walker as well as the 41 of Ryan Pyland out there outside of the top 15. But the inside is the majority of this lead pack of race cars, and it's still 21 cars thick at least. Back to even 22nd with Mitchell Reeves, but the main pack is about 14, 15 cars still tightly packed in there. Almost at the halfway point, they're riding single file. They're doing okay. This is what you expect in the B main, is the guys to just take it easy, ride it out. They're not going to ride like this through the end. Josh Ball right now in 5th position. Frank Lucilia behind him in 6th, Andy. They're not going to say P5 and 6, that's cool, I'll take a good points night. They will risk an accident to get the win because they know how big a win would be to spare them any sort of consequences next week. So it's calm now, and I like the approach, but it's not going to stay like this all night.
Yeah, it's calm right now, the calm before the storm, I like to call it. Once the pit stops happen, and look at Christian Peterson on the outside all by himself. No help, he's made it all the way up to that 4th spot. Unbelievable right there. Side draft working for him, but this is just the calm before the storm. This is right. It's going to get ramped up as soon as we get our pit stops and these guys get the fresh tires. And, quite frankly, all hell's going to break loose, I think. But for right now, it's Frank Fusilia gets the wall there off of turn number 2. That's going to scatter the field.
He got in the fence earlier, and Tom Moustakis did a great job of not getting into him, or he would have been done. That was a pretty big lick by Frank that time. I'm seeing some right front damage on the McDonald's Ford. Good news is he's not going to get a tire rub, but it'll still hurt the car a little bit based on the aero.
Oh, it definitely is, and we see more trouble right there. It looks like the 87 of Ray Ritnar gets in the wall in that furniture row machine. So trouble for him, too, right off the wall. These cars are just so tight for these guys right now. We're definitely only 1 lap away from this halfway point here, so these guys are screaming for tires, Evan.
They want them. The cars are definitely not at their peak performance. We saw the thrilling end to the B main at this point. Next time by will be lap 25. The B main half the distance of the A main as always, and those guys, it was just so difficult for them to make any moves because the cars were so tight that when they did make a move, it led to a lot of chaos. These guys could be driving on the worst tires. Look in front, the 3 of Cheburko really slow in turn 4. Christian Peterson counting his lucky stars that car was not tight at all. They all make it through. That's Cheburko from 7 laps down in 33rd.
That's a scary moment for those front runners right there, and it's just amazing how quickly these cars catch those lap down cars. There's just such a speed difference, obviously, with the draft, and man, do they catch you pretty quick, and they were fortunate. It's Moustakis now into the wall off turn number 2. More trouble for these front runners.
So the leaders continue to have problems. Brandon Chiburko just lost his engine, so his night is officially done. Moustakis catches the fence on the outside of the racetrack. You could expect that to be the tighter place to be. We talked about the big run that Christian Peterson's got going, Andy. He's in third from the outside all by himself, but he's not going fast. He's doing 202, maybe, down to turn number 1. When the outside had a bunch, when he had guys up there, they're doing 207. It's not that he's that much quicker. It's the fact that the guys on the inside, Stephanie Lesentine, is either just pumping at the gas or is only riding it about 50%, because you can't run full speed on the back straightaway like that, especially when you're all single file, because you're going to be running into each other all the time. Halfway, pit stops. They want to split this into 2 very distinct groups. Let's see how well they can get down.
Yeah, I think that bottom line's having to let off of the throttle also, as pit road's going to get busy. Here comes the 43, the 48. They're all coming down pit road, so our first group of cars, let's see if they get slowed down. Josh Ball up into the grass a little bit there. Haggerty's down, the 20 is down. Matt Bontempi, and of course the 210 of Moustakis, they're all in. 4 tires on guarantee is the call here. Rod Flagg's in also. So we'll have to keep an eye on our front runner, Seth the Merchant, and Christian Peterson, who finally caught up to each other, Evan. It only took them half a race, but they finally got on each other's bumper.
I was expecting a penalty for Josh Ball and Stephanie Lesentine because, I know iRacing gives you a window of, balance or a window of opportunity on the pit speed, but they were doing 59, it's 50. They get out though, so they're out there talking about getting everything again. Look at everybody on pit road, down, out in the grass. Somebody bombed that one. That's James Pileski. He'll drive across the Daytona logo to avoid a penalty. They're 3 wide on the pit lane with DeMerchant and Peterson leading them.
Yeah, I could see him coming in way too hot. You knew if he slammed on the brakes, he'd just spin out in front of everybody and take everybody out, so shows the wise move right there to go through the grass. Obviously, it's going to ruin his chances at this race unless we have a caution, because now he has no help at all. But pit road, a busy place. Everybody coming down, getting their 4 tires of fuel. Looks like the 42, the 7, and the 71 are all going to come out in a little group right here. There's going to be some tough cats to keep an eye on right there as this one moves along here. Those 3 can get hooked up together. Those are 3 of the fastest cars that all season long here on the speedways.
To come out that close together is a very good job for them. Corey Henry, Rod Minton out of the pit lane. Those 2 drivers opt to take just 2 tires, which, you look at an iRacing 1 or 2 years ago, even 2 tires is considered a conservative move on the pit lane. Now we're looking at, with the build, 4 tires is what you need. Those guys, though, not quick enough. You saw driving by him. It looks like Stephanie Lesentine will take over the race lead after this cycle. She powers through. The group that had yet to pit came down to the pit lane. Frank Wasilia, the first amongst them. If he can't get out in front, I believe that 43 cycling through to the race lead at this point, after being quicker than her counterparts when they came down to the pit lane. Already a pack is beginning to reform behind them as they go down to turns number 1, 2, and 3, but I believe it would be Stephanie Lesentine, Jared Haggerty, and Josh Ball inside the top 3 if this were all to cycle out now.
Yeah, when it does cycle out, that's going to be your 3, and if you look at the gap that they have back to the 71 of Christian Peterson or Tom Moustakis right there, that's all on what 1 lap made of a difference coming on pit road. That's pretty amazing. That shows you even at a plate track like this, the tire wear now with the new model, which will change next week, by the way. We're Tuesday.
In the middle of the championship.
Yeah, we'll see what that. We'll see what that does to the racing next Friday night for round 2. But it just shows you right there how much tires mean, and especially in this race. That these guys, that 1 lap staying out there really cost them the opportunity to still be the leader.
And this has really spread everybody out. It is official now. Stephanie Lesentine becomes your race leader at lap number 30, cycling through to the top spot. Jared Haggerty, though, I'm ultra impressed with the Hooters Ford. 25th to 2nd, just behind him. Rod Minton, who is now going to fall to P4. Josh Ball gets a spot on him. We talked about Josh's great run from 19th. Minton's gone from 24th to 4th. Those are a bunch of big movers up there, along with that 43 Lesentine, who's been a top 5 car all night.
That's a great job by those guys. The problem with them is, I think these guys are closing in just a bit behind them. They got a much bigger pack. The only thing that these top 4 guys can do is just stay. I say guys, but Stephanie Lessentine's up in there. The top 4 drivers here, what they need to do is just stay in a line. The more they can stay in a line without any movement, the better of an opportunity they have to stay ahead of these guys behind them. And if that's the case, that gives them a great opportunity to come out of here with a race win here in the first chase race. And obviously in that top group right there, the only one that is in the chase is that 48 machine.
That lead pack is 4 drivers. Matt Bontempi leads the charge, P5 on back of plenty more. They're going to catch him. Question is, when they get there, how big is the run that they're going to have, and is it enough to pass the leader? Surprisingly enough to say, Andy, through the B main and the A main, we have not seen somebody yet tonight pass the leader on the inside of the racetrack up to full speed. We only saw it once, and it was earlier on in this race with Rodney Wofford. He passed pole sitter Tom Moustakis in the B main in turn number 1. The draft in favor at the moment, if you look at the numbers, of Stephanie Lessentine. She leads us past the halfway point. 18 laps to go at Daytona, and we'll have one of our 5 Ice Super Chase races in the bags. We'll step away for a brief moment. We'll go LSRTV nonstop so you don't miss a moment of the action. Watching feature race 14 from Daytona. Caution flag will fly, and we'll hold off on that. A yellow on the racetrack. Just as I made a little pretty sentence, Andy, saying that this was well in favor of Stephanie Lessentine. Chris Passini, 3rd chase driver tonight to have a major problem. He got, looked like some ugly net code that went against him. One car, he's in the middle of a 3 wide, and
yeah,
I mean, there's net code, and then there's net code.
Oh,
and,
that's
I mean,
major
for a chase driver. I mean, I don't know what to say. Chris Passini kind of got screwed on that one. He didn't do anything wrong, but he's out of the race now.
Yeah, I mean, there was half a car length in between him and the guy behind him, and that's just unfortunate. I hope he looks at I know he was real upset over the radio. But
I know it won't be much consolation, but I mean, that's...
Yeah, he'll look at that replay and obviously realize it wasn't the guy behind him's fault, and he'll get over it as far as that goes. He's not going to get over the issue that he's going to have now with all this damage and trying to stay in the pack.
And I think he's just going to park it and bring it to the garage, so add him to the list of Brandon Chiburko as well as fellow Chase competitor Shane McEachin to have a major problem tonight. Got to be top 3, I'd say, of the worst net codes I've seen. And we talked about net code being a thing in sim racing. And Andy, a lot of people don't like to say net code. I don't know why it's like a taboo thing, but it's a thing, and you see it there. A lot of the time we'll see it, and it's very minor, so you'll say it was net code, but he was on his door, and it probably would have happened and all of that. It sucks to see that happen on a sim that is this sophisticated, but it happens. It's very rare, rather. You don't see that frequently happen. Stephanie Lessentine thinks about coming down pit road. She'll fake everybody out, jump back out. It looks like the majority of your front runners do want to stay out. A couple of guys come down to the pit lane. I believe Frank Basilian wanted the first. It's not a frequent thing that happens. I don't want to say it's embarrassing to see, but I mean, it sucks overall to see that happen to a chase guy after he's had one of the best seasons we've ever seen out of him.
Yeah, and listen, I don't know if, honestly, I don't know if it's a server issue, if it's an iRacing thing. I'm not sure what exactly it is. I'm not smart enough, I guess, to know that. But, I mean, when you put 30-plus cars on a track, on a simulator, and you're talking you need that many perfect internet connections to make this, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I guess the frequency that it happens, or how often you see that bad of one is very rare. So, I mean, when in the grand scheme of things, when you talk about how many races we do and or that go on this sim week in and week out, not all of them obviously broadcasted, but you gotta think, man, that it's a pretty good stat, I guess. You should say that it doesn't happen. Chances are it won't happen, but when something like that, you're just talking to so many things have to go right to have this many cars all over the country, all over the world, really racing each other and relying on an internet connection. That's it's still an amazing feat that it's as good as it is.
It takes a lot to get all these guys in here. We talk about connection problems. Normally it's somebody just blinking in and out. Unfortunately, Chris Bassini, the victim of something out of his control, and he now needs to win next Friday night if he wants to get his first championship. We're under caution at Daytona, so we'll take this opportunity. We'll step away, and we will be right back for the restart. Lessentine in front of feature race 14. It's Super 10 round race 1 of 2 on the Season 5 campaign for the Ice Super Chase.
Domino's TYJ Racing League is proud to announce we are now taking driver applications for our $2,500 purse inaugural season going green January 2016. At Domino's TYJ Racing League, you get paid cash, not gift cards or die casts. Cold, hard cash. You get paid for finishing 1st through 20th in our championship and 1st through 3rd, plus a lucky dog bonus in all of our 20 races, plus other cash bonuses. You're going to like the way you look. All the way to the bank. I guarantee it. Purse amount approximate, paid cash or iRacing books. Drivers carry less than $20. Report unsafe driving to local authorities. Apply today at Domino'sTYJRacing.com to see if you qualify for our league. And join our preseason Thunder tryout races Saturday nights at 8 p.m. through the end of 2015 to see if you have what it takes to make the cut and some cash.
On the outside, contact made. 56 slides it into 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even. Give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high speed configurations.
Back live for the restart as Stephanie Lessentine leads us at a turn number 4. Jared Haggerty topside. There's 25 drivers still in it, and they're going to have 14 laps to do it. Green flag flies back underway at Daytona. Lessentine on the bottom of the run. Everybody check it up topside. The 92, the 71, the 42. They all get together, and at 43 tries to block the outside. Comes back down, though, to lead us back to turn number 1 at Daytona. 13 laps to go.
Yeah, she was trying to break the momentum of that high side on the restart there. Haggerty had a pretty decent restart, but unfortunately, here he comes now again for Stephanie Lessentine. That high side, a real big run right there. Rod Mitten, he's giving Jared Haggerty a huge run right now, and you got 3 people in the top 3 right now currently that aren't even contenders for the championship, and they're up here trying to steal a win away from these chase guys. The first one in line, though, on the bottom side, Josh Ball. First one going for a championship. He's got right behind him the 24 of Josh Hanner. We haven't talked much about him, Evan, but he's right where he needs to be late in the going.
And he's got quite the throwback paint scheme on that number 24 car this week, the Baby Ruth Chevrolet. Bottom side in there, and right now P4. Haggerty got so close to getting around Lessentine, was just shy of it. This restart coming with 13 laps to go, Mandy, means that by the time we get to 2 laps to go, if we go green, these tires are going to have enough heat in them to where they're going to fall off that cliff right at that point. Everybody, though, flocking to the inside. Haggerty wants to do so. That 41 car, Ryan Pilot, not having any of it. They squeeze by on the inside to shut the door.
Yeah, Haggerty's trying to get some side draft so he can not lose too many spots right now, but he was coming real close right there to wrecking a lot of guys in the front of the field. Look at him right there on Set the Merchant right there, a chase guy trying to get some side draft. No help for him right now. Rod Mittens fell out of the picture for Haggerty, so he goes from battling for the lead all the way back to about the 9th spot right now currently as they run. Bottom side prevailed. Now it's 6 cars all separate themselves, all on the bottom line right now, racing this one out here, coming to the 10 to go.
10 laps to go this time. Start to get into the window that we have to talk about how a caution flag would affect this race. Inside of the final 5 laps, it ends it. Between now and lap 45 would give us one final restart. Peterson wants to make a move, though. He's got his teammate behind him. That is a dangerous duo of 2 chase drivers, both of them topside from P5 and 6. Trying to get a run. They need more than just 2 of them, though, to help them out. They're not getting too far. They'll get that side draft now down the backstretch. You see, they go to the bottom, get right on the door of the Haas Monster Energy Chevrolet of Ryan Pyland. They start to make up some ground after Haggerty had really fallen off. Now they lead the top side.
Yeah, they lead the top side. We've talked to Seth the Merchant a bunch over the last 3 weeks, talking about him with these wins and how he owes Peterson a push to a win. Well, maybe this is Peterson's chance to get it done here, as right now, with closing laps, he's got Seth the Merchant on his back bumper. Does Seth try to make it 3 wide and go for this win, or does he help out his teammate? We'll find out, but right now, Stephanie Lessentine still getting the job done on that bottom side. Good to see her up front leading this thing late in the go, and we'll see if she can keep it up there right now, as here comes that outside lane right now. Peterson, a huge run right now, down the back straightaway, looking for the lead into turn 3.
Is it a big enough run to do it? Seth the Merchant, the clean air, though, hits him like a brick wall, and he can't get the job done. It has been nearly impossible. In fact, it has been at speed to pass the race leader tonight. Nobody said, though, Andy, you got to clear him. You just need a nose at the start-finish line. Seth the Merchant leads lap number 42. That is all it takes to win this race, is to have a nose out there. But Lessentine in a prime spot at the moment to win this race, but Christian Peterson on the outside of the racetrack with the nose that time, with the push, as I mentioned, from Seth the Merchant behind, are not about to give this race up by any means, and it's 2 of them versus everybody else, but they're still hanging in tough.
Yeah, they are, and that just shows why these 2 are pretty dang good at these super speedways and getting it done on the outside lane. Just the 2 of them right now with a chance to win this thing in the late going. Stephanie Lessentine, though, she's going to have the run on the bottom side. Right now, it looks like Peterson now on the outside trying to get some side draft work right now, as Seth the Merchant kind of fell off of his bumper there for a moment. He's able to get back up to him as they come back into turn number 1. It's all about timing. You can't push through the corners in this series, so it's all about timing and getting that run coming off the corner, that when you get on that flat of the straightaway, you're right on his bumper, and we can see right there, it takes a moment for Seth the Merchant to get up to Peterson's bumper. That doesn't give him the advantage heading back into 3.
It'll be 6 laps to go this time by for Christian Peterson, who's got a win on the year. He's got 1,005 points. For the 42 is Seth the Merchant, he's got 3, so he enters this with 1,015. That's a 10-point differential. If somebody of those 2 needed a win, it would be Peterson. How long do they stay teammates? We always said throughout the season, your teammates until turn 4 on the last lap. Does that still ring true in this, or do you allow that 71 to maybe push him to the win and then he help you out in the next race? Because team strategy has always been, and this season, a huge part of not only this series, but specifically, and I guess generally as well, plate track racing. It is still Lessentine on the bottom. Josh Ball feeling pretty good where he is, but coming into this race with 5 bonus points behind the wheel of that number 48 car, running in P2 or P3, depending on where that 71 ends up at the start-finish line. Not in a spot to win this race now, but is good on points. I'm almost liking that 48 car better than where you are if you're the 7 with a Christian Peterson, Andy, because Peterson, he's been able to get there. DeMerchant's been able to get there. They haven't been able to do anything with it. We could see what we saw in the B main, where Lessentine starts to worry about those guys topside. She goes up to block them. Josh Balder's right there to look to the inside. So all of those guys inside the top 5 are in this.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. Josh Ball talked about it before. Obviously wants to win the race, get himself locked in automatically. But at the same time, he did say earlier tonight, after the truck race, he would be very content with the top 5. So I'm sure he's pretty comfortable where he's at now. If he does have the opportunity, though, obviously, to get around Stephanie Lessentine, I'm sure he would do it to get the win. Oh, as they make contact with Seth DeMerchant, that Josh Ball right there makes some contact before they enter turn number 1, so they were able to keep it going straight right there, but some contact between our 3rd and 4th place drivers.
It looked like DeMerchant came down, Ball went up, and that's damage to both of those cars. I believe the 24 of Josh Hannon might have got a small piece of that, but clear to turn 3. Can he get the job done? Peterson was clear, but he didn't drop down. Now Lessentine back to the inside. Oh, man. He was clear.
He was clear, but you know what? That's teamwork right there, and that's exactly why he stayed up there, because he knows Seth DeMerchant didn't have any help up there, and if he had dropped down, Seth DeMerchant would have dropped way to the back. So
more loyal than I would have been, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. This late to go.
Yeah,
3 laps
3 to go.
I mean, that's loyalty right there for you.
It's a good move. That's the only time I've seen somebody get clear all night long. They know it's possible now. The 48 can't push as good as he could before with the damage. In the same story, neither can Seth DeMerchant.
They're wrecking behind him. Down to the inside wall there.
Tommy Hall's involved.
There off of turn number 2, made contact off the wall. Took another car with them down to the bottom. We stay green, though. They're off the racetrack, so this should be good for our leaders.
Caution right there would have ended it. 2 laps to go at Daytona. This time by 4 out of the 5 top 5 drivers on the racetrack. And if you want to extend that window, Rodney Wofford and Jason Altmans as well. 6 of the top 7 are now your chase guys, very parallel to where they were running at halfway point in this race, where the majority of the race leaders were non-chase competitors. Stephanie Lessentine wants to see the white flag. The 7 with a Christian Peterson still has about 3.5 miles to challenge down the Daytona super stretch to turn 3 for the penultimate time. Small nose advantage for the Target Chevy outside. Lessentine pulls on the bottom. Joining the picture now later are Wofford and Altmans behind him.
Yeah, this front pack has now gotten swarmed by some more cars, now all looking for the lead. This could get interesting here as they cross the line and get the white flag. Final lap, final time around this 2.5-mile speedway. Lessentine, still your leader at the line, still has a slight advantage into turn number 1. That outside line needs to time it perfectly off turn 4 if they have an opportunity, or if they want an opportunity to get the win here tonight. Down the super stretch, side by side, they are going down into turn number 3. Altman's looking to the high side, trying to make it 3 wide. Not going to happen into turn 3. For the final time, here they come.
They're 2 wide. Does anybody make it 3 wide? One final push on the outside. It's a huge run of momentum. Lessentine wants a push. It's the 71 of Peterson. Outside of the racetrack, he's going to get the job done. He'll steal the win as they wreck behind him. Christian Peterson robs Stephanie Lessentine of her first career victory and punches his ticket into the Superior 6 with a win at Daytona.
What an amazing finish right there. And that's exactly what they needed to do. And like you talked about 10 laps prior to this, when Christian Peterson finally led his first lap, that's all he needed. He had a half a car length lead at that time, and that's all he needed right here to get the job done. And that's all it takes is the outside lane. He wasn't able to get the pass. He only had her cleared once, but you don't need that to win the race. So great job right there on that outside line. Teamwork. Worked it out on the outside for there, and unfortunately for Stephanie Lessentine, probably her best race of the season. Led a ton of laps there in this race, and unfortunately she still can't get that first win.
And Christian Peterson burns it down. It's his 2nd win on the season, but more importantly, it is a win in the championship. Stephanie Lessentine in 2nd, and teammate to the 71 car of Seth the Merchant, comes home in third position. Josh Ball, Josh Hanner, 4th and 5th chase competitors. Rodney Watford and Jason Altman's 6th and 7th as well chase competitors. Those are the good storylines. The bad storylines continue for Shane McEachin, Brandon Chiverko, Chris Piscini, who have really bad nights outside of the top 25. We now have a chase grid to look at, and for some drivers, it's already going to be do or die if they want to make it through the opening round. We got one, though, off our back. There's still 4 races to go at a championship, and 1 more to go in the round of 10. But Christian Peterson, your big winner at Daytona. He continues to celebrate on the radio with the team. We'll step away on LSRTV, come back and catch up with him, and I'm sure he is ecstatic to be able to get the job done here tonight. Back for the post-race show in just a few. You're watching LSRTV's coverage of the iSuperspeedway.com racing series on iRacing Live, back at Daytona in just a moment.
Did you know that Lion's sense of vision is so powerful, it actually enables nearby creatures to see better? Here we see lions assisting the offspring of others, while their parents are elsewhere in the wild. Brilliant, isn't it? Making the wild kingdom look much better indeed. Do good, be a lion.
We're back live at the virtual Daytona International Speedway for the post-race show at the World Center of Racing. Our first race in the iSuper Chase has come to a close. Christian Peterson gets the win in a photo finish by 2/100ths of a second over top of Stephanie Lessentine to get the job done tonight. He gets a free pass, and we'll see him at Talladega for the round of 6. And we welcome you into the post-race show. I've caught up in the pit lane with somebody that we've been talking to a little bit tonight. Josh Ball, your 4th place finisher tonight at Daytona. Started back in 19th. You're the 3rd best finishing chase guy, and that means you'll be pretty well off, I'm looking like, in the point standings here going forward. Going to be about P3 or 4 out of the 10 drivers. Josh, congrats on a good run to you. It was a good points night, and I know you said earlier that you'd be satisfied with the good points run as well. So what's your synopsis of the race?
That race went pretty much what I thought was going to happen. A lot of green flag runs. The bottom seemed to be the weight around. Everybody was pretty much down there until the end of the race, which is the top one. Good job to Peterson and DeMerchant and Rodney there. But Yeah, the tires just got real tight. We've been talking about this setup for a couple weeks, and it just really gets tight on a long run. So we fought that battle. Not so much tonight. I was trying to save tires most of the night, as you saw. I was pretty much in the back of the pack until that pit stop. So I was saving tires, and I tried to save tires while we were running around there, just sitting behind Stephanie, because I knew towards the end of the race it was going to be side by side, and I didn't want to push up into anybody. So, yeah, good points night for us tonight. We're sitting third or fourth. I'm not sure exactly what, but definitely good. I know some of the chase guys got wrecked out, which, sorry, it goes out to them. I know it probably wasn't any of their faults, but, good points night. It was definitely crazy out there, though.
And it was also, crazy in the fact that the cars just would not cooperate with anybody. We saw a whole lot of guys struggling with the handling on their race cars, just trying to keep them out of the fence. There was quite a few guys that were getting tight and catching the wall. How was the handling on the car from that perspective, as well as the perspective that it was extremely difficult to pass? The outside, Peterson wins the race, and, they did a hell of a job to get that done with just two of them by itself, but the outside really couldn't get clear like we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I think they were, obviously they're part of Wicked Motorsports or Six Man, whatever it is now. And I knew they were going to work together. Peterson wasn't going to leave Seth hanging. So I knew if I could keep Stephanie even with Seth, Peterson wouldn't have dropped down. But the high side definitely, actually, if you're able to run that for a while, it saves on your tires. You just have to be wary about the bottom line and watch where they are, so they don't drift up into you and cause a crash or just hit into the wall, because obviously that was a common theme this evening. So, tires were definitely, I think, the biggest factor in the race. The setup's just a little tight. I don't know if it's the weather or what it is, but over the past couple weeks, it's just been an issue. So, but we did the best we could, we took 4 tires on that pit stop. We figured that was the best idea, obviously, and because we thought we might go green flag racing, which we did for the most part. We just had that one caution. So it was a good night, definitely.
I know you look forward to Talladega. You figure that's one of your better tracks, but we got a feature race coming up next round, which is where you're going to have to get the job done. You're 4th in the points, and by my rough math, that's going to keep you in by, I think, 7 back to the cut line going into that race. So it's not comfortable, but it's good news. It's better than what some of the guys leave here with. In an endurance event, I guess, I have 2 questions. How do you drive that race differently? And there's going to be a new build between now and then.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously we're going to need some practice out there this week if time permits, which I need to get out there, obviously. But it's really going to depend on what the build does. Normally, I'd probably say I'd try to get into the back and work with some people just to stay alive. It's a long race, so 7 positions at the end of the race may come down to not just missing all the wrecks and finishing 10th, or if I end up trying to race too much in the early stages, getting wrecked and being 30th and done. So it's definitely going to see how the build goes first. See what guys I want to run with, and see what guys will run with me, and where I want to run on the track. So
we look forward to that one, Josh. The sponsors, the shout-outs, people behind the scenes. Who powers that 48 car?
Oh, obviously Lowe's on the car every week. Chevrolet. We got the Red Vest scheme out this week. Thanks to Rod and everybody for putting on this LSRTV every week. It's a great show. I love going back and looking at it, and everybody else that makes things happen behind the scenes. Laura and Cisco and everybody. So thanks again, and we'll look forward. Hopefully, get the Lowe's 48 Chevy in Victory Lane next week.
It was a very good run for you guys, Josh. Thanks for sticking around and chatting with us all night long, and as well, congratulations on your finish. Best of luck. We'll see you next Friday.
Thanks, guys.
So Josh Ball comes home in 4th tonight and in 3rd, but the man that gave your winner the push, teammate Christian Peterson, set the Merchant a solid points night. It puts him in the 2nd spot, technically in the bracket, the biggest points lead out of anybody, but not locked in. A fairly good night, though, for the driver that comes home in 3rd, Andy.
Yeah, I'm down here on pit road right now with Seth the Merchant. Seth, Solid run all night long. You started up on front. You led a ton of laps in the beginning part of the race. Looked like you were going to be the car to beat. Pit stops happened. You guys got caught to the back, but you finally found your teammate there, Christian Peterson. You guys worked well together on that top side the remainder of the race, and you were able to give him a win. You said you owed him a push or two after getting you to 3 in a row there. So your streak may be over, but at least you made your part come true for him and give him a push to a win.
Oh yeah, man, I'm real happy he didn't leave me there. He was clear with I think with like 3 to go. I pushed him clear, and he decided not to leave me. I kept telling him to go down, because I wanted him to win that race, but he just stayed with it, and we got a huge run down the backstretch on the last lap because Altman's got up to us, and he gave us a big shot, and it pushed us all the way to the lead, and we got him the win, man. I mean, I can't believe we did it. No one else wanted to run the top for some reason. We were like the only ones up there, but we got it done on the last lap.
Yeah, and that's all that matters. That last time around and over the stripe, and you guys were able to get the run off the corner off turn 4 and make it happen. If this was at Talladega, we might be singing a different tune because you might have ran out of steam, but because of the stripe being right in the middle of that trioval, you guys were able to come home with the win. So I guess since your streak's over, you gave him the push to the win now. Does he owe you one next week so you both can be guaranteed into the next round?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think so because he's pushed me to 2 wins and I've only pushed him to 1 so far. So, I mean, maybe I can just push him to the win again. I'm close to getting on points anyway, but we'll see what we can do next week. I think I'll have to finish like top 20 or something. I'm locked into the next round, so that should be pretty easy. Just take it easy, but knowing me, I'm just going to be just as aggressive and go for that win.
Well, absolutely. We talked to you last Friday. You said that you were going to change the strategy. You were going to go out, try to qualify really well, run up front all race. You did that. You got the pole. You led a ton of laps. You were up front all night long. So it looks like whether you do that strategy or the other, it seems to work out for you. But I'm sure you like being up front and not having to worry about dodging any wrecks.
Oh, definitely. I think. I mean, at that one point, I thought I could lead the race from start to the end there, but we just messed up on pit stops, and we waited too long on those old tires. We were running about a second slower than the group that pitted before us, so we ended up coming out about, I think, 11th or 12th, so we fell a little bit behind, but still got it.
Still got it, and that's all that matters. Well, congratulations on this third place finish. Obviously, you're going to be the points leader here moving into next week, so sponsor shout-outs. Who got it done for you this week?
I just got to thank P-Money Designs and Brandon Smizer for spotting me. He spotted me in the truck race tonight, and he spotted for me in the dash and the A-main for the Super Speedway race. So shout out to him.
There you have it. Congratulations again, Seth. Good luck again next week.
Thanks a lot, man.
Well, there you have it. Third place finisher here tonight, the 42, Seth the Merchant. Your current points leader, but he gave his teammate a pretty good push there, and Evans caught up with our winner.
And it was a last-second pass on the outside, and it was just by 2/100ths of a second, but it's the second time on the year that Christian Peterson goes to victory lane. This one, though, much more significance because he is into the round of the Superior 6 winner and a free ticket for Christian Peterson. Christian, congratulations on the win. Before I ask you about that finish, which was a wild one, and it was basically you and Seth versus the world, what does it mean to get this out of the way that early? And it looks like we're working with a small microphone issue with the driver of the number 71. Trying to see if we can get that corrected in the meantime, but Christian Peterson does win, so we'll give him an opportunity to try to get that fixed up. Let's talk about the championship picture as of this race. Christian Peterson, he gets the W. He's going on to the next round. We mentioned Seth the Merchant could be the points leader. He has that 20-point advantage. Christian, you got a copy?
Yeah, sorry about that.
There we go. You got the win, and I'll repeat the question again there. You win, and now you have a bypass over our next Friday's event here at Daytona. You're into the Superior 6 round. I can imagine that's a big relief for you.
Oh, yeah. Huge weight off the shoulders. I mean, the last couple the last couple of races have been, trying to get Seth up there. I've been kind of pushing him, and this one has been in my hands. So it kind of played out in my favor. I mean, it felt like we were we were racing for the lead there for a while. Earlier, I heard you mention a last lap pass, but it felt like 20.
The outside was, not the place to be tonight. And Seth was like, well, nobody was working with us. And he said that he told you to go to the bottom. And I'm sitting here in the booth thinking you go to the bottom, but you didn't. And, that could have been a move that cost you this race. If you go down there, you can still win, but Seth might fall outside the top 10. It worked out for both of you. Stick it up there and work it with them because you guys are always just so good together. Were you considering leaving him out there, or were you determined to stick with him through the end of that race?
I think we got clear once, and he told me that he was yelling at me, screaming at me to go down, down, down. But I got tight going into 3, and the car pushed up, and I couldn't get down. Stephanie got back under me. But I wanted to hang with him either way. We've been teammates. We work really well together, like you said. So I'm not going to leave him.
You mentioned that you guys have been working together. Seth got 3 wins in a row to qualify for this chase. When you go to the next round, it'll be an endurance event at Daytona. I would assume that it's going to be the same strategy as usual for you guys going into that next race, but Seth is doing pretty good on points. So if you go to Daytona next week, next Friday night, are you in a situation where because you're locked in and he's good by 20 points that you guys ride together, but would you take a P10 finish over going for the win based on the points, or do you guys feel like if you lay back, you might put yourself in a more dangerous position than if you just stick to what you guys have been doing, and that's going for checkered flags? And apparently, nobody has won besides your team in the last month, so it's been working.
Yeah, it seems like whatever rules package they throw at us, the 6-man guys at the shop, they can bring the heat. So. The normal game plan, this one was a short race, so we decided to try to qualify up front. We ended up getting great laps in, put it on the front row. I fell back a little bit, but the next one, like you said, is another endurance race. So I think we're going to try to get Seth, we're always fighting for the wins. That's what we do, but we're definitely going to try to get Seth up there. I'd like to help Rodney Wofford out. He's helped us a lot out through the season. We kind of left him out hanging tonight. I felt bad about that, but get him up there. And just teamwork, man. It seems to win these races. It really helps.
Through all the chaos of these plate races and everything that can happen, it's amazing that you guys can continue what you guys have been doing. Momentum's a big thing. It is all on your side, but I know for the last couple of weeks you've been able to relax, know that you're in this, and now once the pressure goes back on, you are able to breathe. You're the only person safe for next week at Daytona, Christian. It's a huge win for you and the team. Sponsors and shout-outs. Who makes this possible for you guys, getting you guys to the chase and allowing you to be so competitive when you do so?
You guys, Evan, Andy, everybody at LSRTV, Rod Flag, everybody at IA Super Speedway. 6-man Incorporated, P Money Designs, and my parents. I think they're downstairs watching this right now, so it's kind of entertaining for them, I think.
We'll give a shout out to them, Christian. Thanks for sticking around. Again, a huge congratulations to you and Seth coming up against these big names, and still relatively new, I guess, to some of these guys that have been in this series for years, but you guys are absolutely putting on a show. It's fun to watch. So congratulations. Best of luck to you and best of luck to Seth next week. We'll see you then.
Thanks.
Christian Peterson wins it, Andy. Let's take a look at the updated chase grid. He's in with the win. Here's the intervals. Seth the Merchant, he's above the cut line by 20 points. Rodney Wofford in third is above the cut line by 15. Josh Ball is above the cut line by 7. Jason Altmans is in by 4. And Josh Hanner by 1 point is in. Frank Busilia by 1 point is out. And then we mentioned Brandon Chaburko, Shane McEachin, and Chris Bassini, 21 and then 22 points back for those next two. They need a win. That's quite the chase picture, though, going into this one. 2 of our series champions are in the red. Josh Ball still trying to go back-to-back. He's looking pretty good, but definitely not as safe as some of the other guys.
Yeah, not as safe, but at the same time, if he didn't have that win to get him in, he'd be even in worse position right now. So for him, you know what? Listen, he had a great run. He did everything he could. He couldn't move up to the high side to try to get the win anyway. There was just nowhere for him to go. So he did what he had to do. He rode right there, tried to push Stephanie to the win, tried to get himself the best position, finishing position he could, which he did. It was fourth place. It wasn't a win. It wasn't in the top three, but needless to say, he got the job done and got himself up into the front. That's exactly what he talked about earlier that he wanted to do. So for all these guys, listen, I think that that combo right there of Seth and Christian is going to be tough to beat. And as long as those two are riding this wave of momentum, it's going to be tough if it comes down to, they're two of the three in the final race here, and they got to fight each other for it, because that's going to be a tough one. Who's going to get that one out of from each other?
The racing playoff bracket, and I was trying to explain this once to my sister, and she said, so it's like the Hunger Games, because you could work with somebody until you get to the end, and then only one can make it. So for now, teamwork is the key. It gets Christian Peterson into the second round of the chase. That does it. We got one out of the way. First elimination round next week, and we're looking forward to it next Friday night on LSRTV. It is the endurance event here at Daytona, the second last endurance event that we'll see at this track. The finale will be here as well under the lights, but it'll be 225 miles. We hope you join us at that point. Until then, though, on behalf of everybody at Rodicar, big thanks to them. Big shout out as well to all the drivers. And on behalf of everybody at LSRTV, for myself, Evan Pasoko, Andy Kessler, Laura Lawson, we thank you so much for tuning in. Congratulations, Christian Peterson is a winner in the chase. He's the only driver going to the Superior 6 next week. We got some exciting stuff at LSRTV this week. Aaron Bennett just won the United Sim Racing Xfinity Championship tonight on LSRTV 2. We have the USR Truck Finale tomorrow night on Saturday on LSRTV. You can go to livesimracing.com. Also encourage you to like us on Facebook, facebook.com/livesimracingtv/LSRTV2. Stay up to date, but until next time, we bid you goodnight from Daytona. We will see you next Friday for round 2 of the Super 10.